Well, with 2024 right around the corner, things are getting kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just the usual campaign stuff.
Right.
This Axios piece, "Scoop, some top Dems won't commit to certifying a Trump win," really has people talking.
Absolutely.
Like, what happens after election night?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, 2020, remember all the legal challenges, the debates about election integrity.
Definitely.
It's no wonder folks are a little on edge this time around, especially if Trump might win again.
I get it.
And that's where this Axios article gets really interesting. It's all about how Democrats are looking at, and I'm stressing looking at, another Trump presidency.
Okay.
Specifically that moment when Congress certifies the election, you know?
Right.
And what Axios found is that some senior House Democrats, not a lot, but some, are really hesitant about automatically backing the Trump win.
Interesting.
Like, really hesitant.
Yeah.
One of the most vocal, Representative Jamie Raskin, you know, from the January 6th committee.
Right.
He said he would totally accept a free, fair, and honest election.
Okay.
But, and it's a big but, he's also really worried about Trump messing things up.
How so?
Like, he was quoted saying, "Trump is doing whatever he can to try to interfere with the process, whether we're talking about manipulating electoral college counts in Nebraska, or manipulating the vote count in Georgia, or imposing other kinds of impediments." So it's beyond just politics for him, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, Raskin was super involved in that January 6th investigation. He even objected to Trump's electors back in 2017.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize.
Yeah, so his skepticism, it carries weight. It's like this fear among some Democrats that Trump, to win, might bend the rule, maybe even break them.
And he's not alone, right?
Not at all. Representative Jan Schakowsky, another senior Democrat, she's cautious too.
What's she saying?
Basically, look, I don't know what Trump's got up his sleeve.
It's like this uncertainty about Trump is hanging over some Democrats.
Definitely. And get this, Schakowsky actually voted against certifying George W. Bush's electors back in 2005.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
No way. It's like history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes or something.
Right, but those 2005 objections, they were controversial, sure, but mostly symbolic. Nothing like January 6th.
Right.
Those objections failed. The transfer of power happened. It was a whole different world back then, politically.
Okay, so some Democrats are uneasy looking back at history, but what about the party leaders? What are they saying?
Good question.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has been pretty clear. He said over and over that Democrats will make sure the certification process goes smoothly on January 6th. No drama.
Okay.
He even used the phrase, "without drama or consequences." And Jeffries carries weight, right? What do you make of that?
Oh, it's definitely significant. Jeffries, as the House minority people listen, I think it shows that, yes, some Democrats might have doubts, but the party overall, they want stability. They want to follow the process, probably to distance themselves from that whole January 6th mess.
So respect the process, even if they don't love the result.
Exactly. Walking that fine line between listening to members' worries, but also showing they're all about upholding those democratic norms.
Which is interesting because it's the opposite of what we've seen from Republicans, where election objections are almost routine now, ending with, well, you know, January 6th.
Right.
And that feels like the core issue here. This questioning election results without solid proof, it's really dangerous. It undermines the whole system, makes people lose faith. It's a slippery slope we really shouldn't go down.
Absolutely.
And it's not just now, right? This distress could last a long time.
Exactly.
But we'll get into that later.
Okay.
First, let's look at how other key Democrats are handling this pre-election uncertainty. It's like, what is it they say? An ounce of prevention.
Right.
Some Democrats are taking that to heart, speaking up now before votes are even cast.
Yeah.
Trying to set some boundaries, like Representative Benny Thompson, remember?
Oh, yeah, from the January 6th committee.
Exactly. He's seen firsthand how fast things can go south.
Right.
His view is, if you're worried about the election, take it to court. Don't try to go around the legal system with Congress.
Makes sense.
It's about protecting the whole system, not just one side.
Exactly. And it seems like other Democrats are on board with that, especially those in charge.
Right, like Representative Dan Kildee, he's on Jeffries' leadership team, right? He was pretty blunt. Democrats would accept the results even if they're disappointed, he said.
Wow.
So it sounds like they're really trying to learn from January 6th, prevent a repeat. By standing firm on the democratic process, they hope to reassure voters, avoid the chaos we saw after 2020.
It's like they're saying, look, we may not like the outcome, but we respect the rules. You should too.
Right. And that's such a contrast to what we've been seeing from the Republican side lately.
Definitely. It's like night and day.
All those election objections, culminating in, well,
January 6th.
Yeah.
It's hard to forget.
And that's the crux of it, right? This whole trend of questioning elections without proof, it's scary. It undermines everything.
Absolutely. It makes people lose faith in the whole system. Dangerous game.
Not just for now, either. This distrust could stick around for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah. The long-term consequences are huge.
Potentially.
But we'll circle back to that.
Okay.
First, let's dig into how some other key Democrats are dealing with all this uncertainty before the election even happens. So we're in a tough spot, right?
Yeah, it's tricky.
This election, it's not just about who wins. It's about how we handle all this, well, anxiety, the divisions. This isn't how it's supposed to be.
You're right. This is uncharted territory. Questioning elections has become a strategy, and that's dangerous.
It's like a loop. We talk about things going wrong, and that makes people trust the system even less.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You focus on something so much, you might end up making it happen.
So where do we go from here? How do we talk about election problems without making them worse? It's a good question. Tough one. I think we need to remember, we're all in this together. Democrats, Republicans, everyone. We all want fair elections.
Right. It's easy to forget that.
It's easy to get caught up in the fighting. But democracy works when we all participate.
Yeah.
When we think critically, when we talk to each other, even when it's hard.
Exactly. We can't just sit back and hope for the best. We need to be informed. We need to demand better from our leaders, hold them accountable.
Absolutely. And call out bad behavior no matter who's doing it. No more blind loyalty, right?
Right. And media literacy, that's huge too. There's so much information out there, it's hard to know what's real anymore.
It's overwhelming. Being able to spot misinformation, that's so important these days.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about the problems, but what about solutions? What can we actually do as people to make sure every vote matters?
Start talking to each other. Have those tough conversations with friends, family. Get out of those echo chambers, Listen to different viewpoints.
I love that. And get involved. Volunteer to register voters, become a poll worker, support voting rights groups.
All great ideas. And just setting a good example.
Yeah.
Be respectful, even when you disagree. Don't spread misinformation.
It's about all of us doing our part. Democracy isn't perfect, never will be, but we can make it better, one conversation at a time, one vote at a time.
Well said. It's a journey, not a finish line. And we're all in it together, right?
That's a good way to put it. Well, that's about all the time we have for this deep dive. We've covered a lot, from how elections are certified to the bigger picture of our democracy.
Definitely a lot to unpack.
But before we go, one last thought for you to consider. We've talked a lot about trust today. Trust in the system, in each other, in the whole idea of democracy.
Trust is fragile.
So here's our question for you.
Yeah.
What will you do to rebuild that trust?
What role will you play?
Because a democracy is only as strong as the people who are a part of it.
That's the truth.
Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and most importantly, keep learning.
And keep asking those tough questions.
Absolutely.
Hit that Dabbatory.